What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Kicks and Picks podcast. Nick and Scotty with you here, and we are going to break down the Champions League final. European season has ended. This will be the final game. We are sitting pretty coming into it. Plus 1,600 on PSG for the show, plus 1,000 on Inter. We are winning money no matter what. Scotty, third straight year, we have given out the winner of the Champions League. Feeling really good about it. Great end to our season. It's been a lot of fun. Do want to give a shout out to all of the listeners, all the viewers who have been rocking with us all season. Hopefully you guys have made some money. I mean, I know you have because we have. So thank you for that. Even if you're not into the betting and just like to hear us bullshit and talk about the leagues that we love and the game that we love, we definitely appreciate you. Ahmed, you're number one, dude. How are you? But Scotty, dude, another great year in the books. We're gonna gear up for some fun stuff this summer, but Champions League final, dude. How you feeling?
Good. I mean, yeah, you said it, year 3 in a row where we're gonna have. I mean, this time we're actually guaranteed to have one of our two picks.
No sweat.
We had both Inter and PSG around the quarterfinals. But this is the first time it's not Real Madrid, so even better for us. So I'm feeling good. I think, I think there's in my opinion, a pretty clear favorite here. Odds are a little bit closer than I was expecting, but better value for me because I'm on the heavy favorite, not the not so heavy favorite with PSG. But we'll get into that.
Yeah, no, fair enough. We'll break it down. Hedge, what's up, brother? Thank you for the support as always. Dude is already here giving out a parlay. Plus 400.
Solid.
With Lautaro shot on goal, an Inter card, and Inter to lift the trophy. I dig it. Do you want to shout out? Scotty just brought it to my attention. We are now also on Kick. So if you guys are on that platform, please do us a huge solid and subscribe. And I don't know if you share or what you do on Kick because I'm not on it. I have no idea. But do whatever you need to do to make sure you're supporting the show. We appreciate it.
Yeah, Kicks and Picks Pod now on Kick. It's about time.
Long time coming. But as always, catch us on Twitter and YouTube streaming away. So Scotty, let's get into it. Let me pull up the odds because you would have thought a genius like me.
I got you. You want the top line odds?
Hit me the top.
Through? All right. So as I mentioned, the odds a little closer than I thought. I thought PSG were going to come in with a minus in front of them, but they're sitting there at plus 120. Looking at the history of the lines, I think they actually opened up around plus 130. It's been bet down a little bit, but draw plus 235, Inter plus 235. That's an interesting little tidbit. And then we have for totals, over 2.5 is plus 100, under 2.5 minus 125.
Yeah, I have some interesting thoughts on that. So let's just get into quick thoughts, I think, before we give out the bets that we like. You mentioned you thought PSG would be a bigger favorite. I think that's kind of the general consensus from betting stuff that I've listened to, from just people that we follow, people that we interact with. PSG, I guess they deserve it, right? They've kind of been the side. They have dismantled heavy hitters. They've scored a lot of goals along the way. Their French league season has been on cruise control. And, they're the team that I don't want to say neutrals are rooting for, but maybe there's people who are rooting for them to get over the hump.
Yeah.
There has to be a subset of people
that
are betting that.
I don't know. I think, not that I think either of these teams are villains of Europe by any stretch of the imagination. I think PSG has long had more of a hater watch contingent to see them fail.
Yes,
Nick,
number one was right there.
They've completely changed their team complexity since those days. With you don't have the Messi and the Mbappe and these pseudo, not to borrow Real Madrid's term, but Galacticos on the team. Yes, they have a lot of really talented players. That's why they're here to begin with. But someone like Dembele, for example, he's kind of almost like a reclamation project that came in from Barcelona, getting his second chance after a pretty terrible tenure in La Liga. And then you got a lot of the young guys coming up, between Doué and Barcola and at all. So they are a little bit easier to root for than teams of years past.
Definitely.
Inter, I think, I don't mean this in any disrespect, but I think Serie A, whenever one of those teams makes it in, except for maybe Juve, they always have a little bit of an underdog storyline to them. Obviously, they're the underdog by the betting lines in this match, but Italy, obviously a little bit more of a cash-strapped league than some of the others. The exposure, I think it's gotten a lot better now, but still playing some catch-up in terms of the revenue that they're pulling in. So it's hard to say that any one of these teams is going to have like a bigger storyline behind them. With that said, given the age that I've kind of discussed with PSG, I think they maybe have a slight edge in that category.
No, I think that's fair. And one thing we have to say, man, and I am certainly no fan of his. Luis Enrique has done a fucking awesome job. I mean, he's a dude who's like changed my opinion of him too, right? Because I didn't like him as a player. He coached Roma, so obviously I didn't like him there. But he has gone on and won shit with Spain. He's gone on here and he's now winning. And like you said, turn the perception of this team. So it's a good story, kind of no matter who wins this one. Even Inter, right? They had that really hard fought loss to Manchester City 2 years ago, a game that I'm willing to say they outplayed Manchester City, but couldn't get the result. And, faltered a little bit last year. They did win the domestic league, but they're a team that's been fighting for things for the past 4 or 5 years. So really getting this trophy would be massive for both of these sides. And we talked about the betting and how PSG, they're a deserved favorite. They deserve to be here, but let's not overlook Inter. I think plus 240 is a little bit disrespectful for a team that ran through the group stage, right? They only gave up 1 goal. I think they had only given up 1 goal until they faced Bayern Munich in the quarterfinals. And I think they held Bayern to 2 goals over 2 legs, which is an accomplishment. And they hadn't trailed until at any point in the competition until the second leg against Barcelona. And that's a game they came back in, right? Yep. So took care of Bayern, took care of Barca, not in the same way they took care of the rest of the competition, but they're not in the finals by accident. So
yeah. Can I give you my counterpoint?
Please.
Because you can make the same kind of storyline with PSG and how they've kind of gotten to this point. We look at the other 2 European competition winners. They all come from the same league.
Yep.
PSG had to go through Liverpool, Arsenal, Aston Villa just to get here. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Aston Villa is a high quality team, but neither was Spurs and they have a European trophy. Neither was Chelsea. They have a European trophy. So It's hard for me to kind of discount Aston Villa, even in the context of what their squad looked like towards the second half of the season. But I think there's something to be said that PSG just went through probably the hardest league and looked pretty damn good doing it.
100%. No,
this Liverpool team, I think, they didn't finish the season strong because they've been on vacation, Monday through Friday for the last month. But this was a team that was probably going to be around 94 points at the end of the season. So, I think PSG. The reason why they're so heavily favored is I think they've just looked really good beating some of these really good teams, leading up to this. I said it when they played Liverpool. I was like, this is by far the best team Liverpool have played all season long.
Yep.
Their energy is unmatched. They have unbelievable pace up top, which is so hard to get accustomed to, right? Like if you're a defensive line playing a high line, you're going to get cooked. And it's just not something that you can make like a, strategic adjustment mid-game to resolve. Like it's just not. So I think Inter are going to have their hands full in this. Like I said, I'm on the edge of PSG money line if you're making me pick one right now, but I am open. Inter obviously had a disappointing finish to the season. How does that play into it? Whereas PSG largely haven't had like a majorly competitive game outside of Champions League for the better part of a month.
Right. And that's what's going to factor into it. Also, Inter have played more recently. I almost think that's a little bit better in this scenario. Do want to shout out we got some comments here. Eduardo, thank you, dude, for always showing support. Plus 1,600, rooting for you to get that one home for sure. And being the underdog takes off edge. No, definitely tend to agree. And like I said, there always seems to be, maybe not last year, but for majority of Champions League finals, there's always one consensus favorite, and doesn't usually work out that way, does it? I mean, I guess when Manchester City won a couple of years ago, sure, but the game didn't play out that way, right? So, you mentioned PSG money line. I could almost try to convince somebody to go the other way. I was looking at an Inter double chance at minus 135 because I think that's ridiculously live for a team that's in the final. Would not shock me to see a game like this go to extra time. So a lot can happen.
Yeah, I think Inter's last 3 matches have all ended in a draw in regular time, right? In Champions League, because they were level.
Yep.
Against Barcelona, and both matches
Twice.
went into extra time in this last one, and then they were level with Bayern.
Yep, they had the lead going into that game.
Yep. So not a bad play. Like, yeah, if you're a believer in Inter and you're going that route, double chance is certainly the way to go.
The other thing I would love your thoughts on here, I might be completely insane. It is a final. Finals tend to be a little more tightly contested. Over 2.5 at even money. I'm like way on the over in this game because both of these teams score early. They've scored early in just about every game that they've played. I think both teams score. That's at -130. I think that's super playable. Yep. So if you think both teams score, I believe that there's a very likely scenario where somebody's going for the win in regular time, and we get 2.5 goals.
Can I back up your opinion with cold hard facts?
Please.
Over 2.5 is hit in PSG 9 of the last 10 PSG Champions League games, and it's hit in 5 straight Inter Milan Champions League games.
There you go. That's exactly what I was trying to say.
So I think we're heading towards that. PSG's not going to try to play a defensive game. I think that's going to open them up to the counter a little bit. So there's certainly room for like Lautaro to get in behind and create. I think Thuram has been playing better in the past couple of weeks. Better subjectively. So I think there's opportunity there. Actually, Thuram has been playing better, I'd say, in Champions League more so than anything.
Oh, definitely. No. Listen, his good play hasn't shown up in the stat sheet. And you get thrown off a little bit because last year he had such a phenomenal year, and he started off this year in the same way. I think he had like 8, 9, 10 goals in the first like month and a half of the season, and then he just kind of teetered off a little bit, right? And they haven't had consistent lineups. They've been dealing with injuries. Would love, Eduardo, you just mentioned this. I was looking at it earlier at +240. I've seen it as high as +260. Silly number to me for, the best pure striker on the field. I know we got a couple Inter fans in the chat. Inter Nick, I see you here. I heard he might have a little bit of a knock. Well, not I heard he had. I know he missed like the last couple games in the league for Inter because they were resting him. I don't know about his fitness if he's 100%. I imagine he's going to start. Certainly, even if he's 50%, and you're giving me +260, +265, I'm interested in it because he has to be the guy. But just goes to your point, Scotty. We're going to need to see something out of Thuram, one way or the other, if Inter are going to have a chance in this game.
Yeah, I mean, if Inter get 1 goal in 90 minutes, I think their best case scenario is going to extra time. Is that fair?
Agree. Absolutely agree. They need
and certainly doable. That's where the over 2.5, if that misses, I think it's because it's like a 1-1 game that we just discussed where Inter likes to play to those draws. So entirely possible.
Yeah. And man, Eduardo coming in hot, dude. Because you said that, I do really like DeMarco to get a shot on target. I see he's sitting at +150 for shot on target. I'm sure Dumfries actually is.
Dumfries has been cashing for me.
Yeah, he's like even money.
Yeah.
If we're looking at these player props too, Hakimi also +150 to get a shot on target. I think he's hit 5 shots in his last 4 games or something like that in the Champions League. Like, dude has been absolutely automatic. That's the matchup we're going to see a lot of. DeMarco against Hakimi. Like, neither really play defense. DeMarco definitely doesn't play defense, but neither really play defense. Both are going to be just going at each other for 65 minutes, like hard. So definitely like both of those guys to get a couple shots, certainly a shot on target.
Yeah, and I think I think Dumfries is sitting there +135 shot on target, which is always super playable. That's why it always stands out to me. DeMarco +145, slightly better. So it'll be interesting to see. It seems like Mendes, I think, has played as well as a left back has in Europe all year long, defensively at the very least. Pocketed Salah very easily. So I can see Inter, if they're smart, trying to work down the left side, and that kind of favors DeMarco over Dumfries in that standpoint. So maybe we do go with a DeMarco shot on target at +145, given that context.
No, I definitely dig it, and I think just while we're talking about player props, man, they're kind of there for the taking. I think the assist market is a little bit out of whack. I don't know if he's going to be starting because for some reason he hasn't started the last couple games. But Bradley Barcola, who's been like a machine, plus 350 to get an assist, I think is kind of a silly number. Dumfries at plus 575 to get an assist. This guy has been the MVP of the Champions League for Inter so far. I think that's just a kind of an insane number. I don't know. What are your thoughts on some of these player props here?
I also, can we one more shot on target?
Please.
Hakan Çalhanoğlu.
Yes.
Free tick taker. Plus 195 shot on target.
That's insane. What book is that on?
It's on DraftKings. Looking at it right now.
Well, everybody run to DraftKings and open up an account if you don't already have one, because that's fucking robbery. Takes free kicks, takes penalties, should see a good chunk of the ball. Piece
should be there. So certainly within reason. And before he hopped off, competitive hedge called out Inter to get a card. I think like that's probably fair enough. I don't have card props though. I was trying to figure out where we have for total cards in the match, because I feel like this is one where usually we like to take overs. I might skew a little under with the ref trying to let things play out in a final.
No, I think that's fair. I definitely think that's fair. Trying to think of what else really stands out. We're trying to give you guys this as neutrals, right? Because we've already kind of made our bed, but and certainly, reading the chat, did another show with our buddy Andrew, who does the Plus Money podcast. I was on with two guys who also were on Inter with futures. So it's like you try to analyze the game for people who don't have that. But it's a final at the end of the day, right? It's two teams that deserve to be in a final. It's one game. Anything could happen. We could come back on Monday and brag about how we got every single pick right. We can come back on Monday just as easily and have gotten every single pick wrong. It's going to be one of those games. I think it's going to live up to the hype. We've talked about it. This format, we like it. It's great for betting. The games have been wide open. The games have been explosive. I expect more of that in this one.
Let me post this question for you. We like over 2.5 total. Team totals. Inter over 1.5 is plus 180. PSG team total over 1.5 is plus 110. Yeah. Playing either of those, both of them?
You very easily could. I would play Inter because I think they need it if they have a chance to win. They need 2 goals. And I think plus 180 is massive.
Yeah.
And they've done it in just about every match.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't mind playing both of these. I think one of these teams are going to hit, even if it's PSG and Inter doesn't, you get a little bit of money and you have a free bet on Inter getting over 1.5. So I don't mind playing both of these, especially after the Inter-Barcelona fireworks we got to see over 2 legs. I think we could go that way. Yeah. I'm looking at DraftKings. They have some of these match specials. Another one, Inter to have 2+ shots on target in each half is plus 200.
Okay.
I
can buy that. I think if they get it in the first half, they get it, right? Yeah. Like I don't see a scenario where they don't get it in the second.
Yeah. So.
Man, Anthony, you're welcome, brother. It's so funny. If you can go back to his comment real quick about Lazio helping Napoli win the Scudetto. We didn't even wrap up the season. We spent so much time breaking down Serie A and EPL for the last fucking 3 months that we didn't even wrap it up. Congrats to Napoli. We talk about Lazio helped them, right? Pedro scores the goal late against Inter. They get the draw. They get the points. I don't really subscribe to that because Lazio took 4 points off of Napoli this year. We did more harm than good, right? Like it's like the recency thing. Listen, man, every team plays every team. So yeah, in the moment, it feels big, obviously, right? Like without that happening, you don't win the Scudetto. I get that, but it's just so funny, all the love Lazio was getting. And quite honestly, they should have won that game. So, is what it is. But congratulations to Napoli and Napoli fans. Ahmed, you talked about Donnarumma, bro. I was just trying to pull up what the number is. I think like if we can get a saves number, Scotty. I don't have that on my book here.
Yeah, I don't have it on mine either, unless it's within the
But
weird
if you can
same
get
game parlay.
over, I think it was sitting at 2.5, or if you can get over 2.5 saves for Donnarumma, like that's been free money. This guy is, I personally believe if PSG win the game, he gets the MVP of the Champions League. Do you agree with that statement?
If PSG win the game,
Donnarumma gets MVP of the Champions League.
Man, that's tough. I could see it. I think it depends on how the final goes. If you see a 2+ goal involvement from any of those forwards, Kvara or Dembele, I could see that being a little bit of an edge, because at the end of the day, we tend to reward offensive statistics.
Sure.
I mean, you look at the Ballon d'Or over the last 20 years, it's 90% of them are guys that are scoring. So that's my only hesitation. I don't know that they would go so far as to give it to a goalie. Not that he wouldn't deserve it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, and Dumfries could come out and have another goal and assist, right? And that's all you're going to think of. But man, I don't know. Donnarumma has been massive for this team this season. So
yeah, like I said, it would be deserved. I wouldn't turn my nose up at it. I just know how these things usually go out. It's to the guys that are putting the ball in the back of the net, not the one that's keeping it out, unfortunately.
No, fair enough. I did put together a little same game parlay. I want your thoughts on it.
Hit me.
And it's going to answer part of your question, Eduardo. I don't know if there's going to be more than 2 goals in the first half, but there certainly could be. So I have over half first half goals. So a goal to be scored in the first half. Both teams to score. Over 1.5 Acerbi tackles. And that's plus 325.
I like that. I do like that. I think when I had a Acerbi tackle in my same game parlay against Barcelona, right? I think that was one of my picks.
Yeah.
So
and he's been the dude. He's going to have to continue to be.
Yeah. Don't mind that one bit. Let's see. I have one that I've been cooking up as we go. I just need to find one more. Who do I want to throw in? Oh, I know who I want to throw in. Where's my boy Mendez? It's very similar to yours, though, because I think both teams to score sitting at minus 135 is just begging to be thrown into one of these picks. So I have both teams to score. I have Kvara shot on target, and I have Mendez 2+ tackles plus 330.
Okay, I'm in.
Like I said, I'm a big fan of Mendez. I think he's played as well defensively out of the left back position as anybody this year. What he did against Salah was really impressive to me, and I've been following him pretty closely since those 2 games. So I think he can get it done here. Dumfries pushing up, I think that provides some opportunity for him to get some easy tackles. 1 per half shouldn't be too hard. And then I like the fact that I think Lautaro will probably be drifting more left than anything, right? So that'll leave Thuram on Mendes' side. So a little bit easier someone to dispossess than in the forward line. So that's why I like Mendez 2+.
No, I dig it. Definitely dig it. Let me just take a look at method of victory as I'd like to do. Yeah. All right. PSG penalties is plus 1,000. Inter penalties is plus 1,000.
The other one that you didn't call out, highest scoring half, second half is sitting there even money.
Yeah. Okay.
Usually that's a minus 130.
Usually.
So I don't mind it.
I do think there's goals in the first half. I think this game gets off to a hot start.
Okay.
But if it is a typical final, like I think 4 out of the last 5 or 6 out of the last 7, something like that, have gone under 1 goal in the first half. So, I mean, that's kind of the way it goes, right? You try not to lose in the first 30 minutes, 35 minutes, 40 minutes. Yep. So that does seem like a pretty good bet. But I really feel it in my bones that there's going to be a first half goal in this one.
Yeah. All right. Anything else that you like in this? I'm kind of going through some of these match specials to see if there's anything that's worth a long shot. Own goal scored in the match at plus 900.
That's worth it. Yeah, that's a big enough number for me to take a chance.
Yeah.
I dig it.
Especially with the wide play that you're going to get from both of these teams. That's usually where the own goals come into play. Is you have a cross coming in and an attempted clearance goes wrong. So I don't mind that.
For sure. Now pause for a second. If anybody in the chat has any thoughts, any questions, any bets they want to share, Otherwise, we'll keep this one tight.
Yeah, and I think coming up we'll have some competitive soccer to talk about. We'll also have plenty of stuff to go over with transfers. It seems like it's going to be a busy summer in the transfer window season. A lot of number 9s on the move, so we'll find
score
ways.
First plus 125. I dig it. We've already seen like 5 coaching changes in Italy, but also like 0 coaching changes. So now plenty to talk about. And especially you got everybody that watches, anybody that tunes in. Appreciate the faithful people we have who are always in the chat. If any of you guys want to hop on with us, more than welcome, any week, but certainly over the summer, any topics you guys want to talk about, like
Nick's DMs are open.
Certainly open. No, like Scotty was saying, man, we've done episodes on transfers. We've done episodes on, state of the club, where we tend to bring in like club experts and get a rundown on what happened in the summer. As you mentioned, there's a ton of competitive ball going on. There's the Gold Cup, the Club World Cup, both here in the U.S. The Leagues Cup is coming up. MLS season is in match day 16 already, match day 17 this weekend. So if anybody here follows MLS in the off season, we have a couple of guests lined up that are really, really sharp with the MLS. So ton to
Manchester United is in a very competitive Asian tour where they have just lost to the Asian All-Stars 1-0 in Kuala Lumpur. So
is that their
games
first?
That even
is that the same? They lost yesterday too, or this was
yesterday? That was the same game. Yeah, that was the same game. They lost 1-0.
There's never been a better time for Manchester United and Juventus slander. Like, they have never intersected like this ever. We're gonna have a great summer.
It is great.
Last thing I saw, Eduardo, Inter to score first plus 125. Yeah, dude. They're gonna need to if they have a chance in this game. So I dig it. You're giving me anything in a final that's essentially a toss-up with a plus number, I'm kind of interested in it. So I dig it. We came all the way. We came this far. You got to ride with them, right? So I know you got a huge future on Inter. Go all the way, dude. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
All Sweet. Right. Well, guys, thank you again. As mentioned, please like, follow, subscribe, share. Appreciate the support. We're on Kick also. So subscribe or follow on Kick. Follow on Kick, and you'll get the notifications every time we go live. So appreciate it. Good luck this weekend. We'll be back with you guys.